Hello everyone. In today's video, I'm going to help you with your speaking. We are going to learn about ish and how we use it in conversation. So let me show you some examples of ish and then I'm going to tell you what it means. So when you add ish to the end of a word, you can change that word's meaning. Let's look at some examples. The sweater is blue. I have here a sweater. Some of you might say, oh, it's blue. But some of you might not actually know the color of the sweater. Is it green? Is it blue? In that case, you might say, the sweater is bluish. It's bluish. Okay? Here is another example. Bill is 40. He's 40 years old. We say that with confidence. But what about if we don't really know Bill's age? He looks 40, but maybe he is 42 or 45. We might say, Bill is 40-ish. So these are some examples. When we use ish, what we are showing is we are not confident in our answer. We are unsure of something. Or we might use it to show it's like a synonym of kind of, sort of, somewhat. And again, it can show that you're unsure of something. Or if you use it with numbers, it can mean approximately or around. So you're not giving specific answers. You're giving more general answers. Now let's look at some other examples of how to use ish. Okay, so we just talked about ish, and we talked about how you can add ish to an adjective to change the meaning of the adjective and to make it mean a little bit, or somewhat, or kind of. Well, let's look at some more examples of this. I have here a plant. What do you think? Is it real? It's not real, it's plastic. But I might say, the plant looks realish, meaning it looks sort of real. Let's look at another example. I have here a book. What do you think? Is this a short book? A long book? Well, it's long, but I wouldn't say it's very long. So I might say, the book is longish. It's longish. Let's look at some other examples. We have here the name Kim. Kim looks young. Now, if we say Kim looks young-ish, that means she sort of looks young and maybe a little bit old. Here is another example. The house. The house is clean. Yes, this is what we want, a clean house. The next sentence. The house is clean-ish. If someone told me my house was clean-ish, I'd feel sad because I want a clean house. I don't want a sort of clean house. Tom Cruise is famous. Alright, great. What about some YouTubers? Some YouTubers are famous-ish. A little bit more famous than their friends, but not famous like Tom Cruise, so they are famous-ish. What about with cities? My city is large. Antalya is a large city. But then when you compare it to places like Mexico City or Tokyo, it doesn't seem so large anymore. I'd say my city is large-ish. So again, these are some examples to show you're not sure or certain, or to show that it's kind of. Well, let's now look at some more examples and other ways to use ish in English. Let's now practice what you learned. We are going to add ish to some of these adjectives in these sentences. So, Jack's shirt. What color is Jack's shirt? Jack's shirt is, what do you think the answer is? Greenish. Jack's shirt is greenish. Great. Well, let's now look at another one. What's Nancy like? Well, Nancy acts child. She acts like a child. What's another way we can say this? Nancy acts childish. Childish. If someone is childish, it means they act more like a child than an adult. Okay, let's look at another example. This one has a number in it. How many people are in the room? There were 50 people. What can you add here to mean you don't know exactly the amount, but it's around 50? There were 50-ish people. Great. And now I want you to make your own example. You can share it in the comments of this video. Remember, we use ish in this way with adjectives. And an adjective is a describing word, like big, small, large, old, young. These are all examples of describing words or adjectives. Alright, so now let's talk about other ways we use ish. Actually, before we do that, one more comment about ish. We use it the most in conversation, so we don't write it as often because it's informal. You might use it a bit with callers, but otherwise we tend to use ish in conversation instead of written English in general. Well, what about ish with nationalities? You might have seen nationalities like Swedish, Irish, Spanish, Finnish, English, Danish, Scottish. You'll notice these all have the word ish with them. When we are talking about nationalities, ish does not mean a little or somewhat. We use it just as a common ending for many nationalities. So the way we use it here has a different meaning than the way we use it with nationalities. For example, my background is Scottish. It's Irish. It's English. So we can use it to describe people from certain countries and also languages. So now, let's look at another way we can use ish. We talked about ish, meaning kind of or sort of. We talked about ish with nationalities. Another time you might see the ending ish on a word is with verbs. So there are some verbs in English that end in ish. We have vanish, which means disappear. Vanquish, which means destroy or conquer. Nourish, which might mean to feed. Perish, which might mean to die or to disappear. And cherish, which means to take care about something deeply. All of these end in ish. Does ish change the meaning of these words at all? No. So in this case, ish is just a common verb ending in English. But it doesn't change the meaning of the word. But it might help you to know this because if you have a spelling test, it's good to know what are the common endings of English words. And ish is a common ending. So knowing it might be helpful. Alright, well, can we add ish to a verb that does not naturally have ish? So for example, I have the verb to run. Can I say she runish to the store to mean she sort of runs? Or she was running-ish to the store? No. So we don't use ish. We don't add ish to verbs. This would be incorrect. And I should also mention there is a couple of adjectives that end in ish naturally. So for example, selfish. We don't add ish to selfish. It already is a part of the word. But in general, we can add ish to adjectives to change the meaning to sort of or a little, somewhat. So, we have covered a lot today. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. You can check out my YouTube channel and subscribe for more videos. Until next time, take care.